Hello everyone, I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and money-colored commentator. On today's show, building a good credit history, part 3 in our series on It's Your Money, It's Your Life. Building a credit history, and I say building a good credit history. Remember, history is neutral. I need to have an adjective in front of it. My adjective is building a solid and good credit history. To do that, I've talked about in the last segment about paying things off every month. My cards never pay. I never pay interest on my cards. I don't want to pay any interest that I have to on my equity line of credit on my home. I want to get whatever I need to do and pay it down and get it off my balance sheet. I always want to try to deal in cash if I can, but I understand we all can't do that, and sometimes things happen. That's why we have to have an emergency account for those times. I don't want to be saying the only emergency account to pay a deductible if I have a car accident for my car insurance, my deductible if I have something that happens to my home, or a deductible that happens because of my medical. I have certain deductions. The only way I can pay them is always hit my card. If I'm already cash tight, and I run into a problem, that's a problem. So I want to be able to have cash flow. I want to be able to create my first idea when I get into cash flow. I want to be able to create an emergency fund for all those deductibles and anything that can happen, including, by the way, unemployment, where you should have about 90, maybe 120 days of money saved in case you lost your job or you're looking for a new one. Now, when I'm talking about it, there's credit histories out there, and they have Equifax and Experian and TransUnion. All these are looking at your score, and you should check them out every once in a while just to make sure the information on those credit scores are correct. And if they're not correct, to jump on it and correct it. Remember, I know several cards. I'm giving you one example. My Discover card gives me my FICO score every single month. I can watch it, and at the end of every month, they show any kind of activity I've had on my card that maybe I need to look at to make sure I actually did that. So anytime and there's an opening of credit or anything else, I can see that on my card. Now remember, they're keeping score. And so you go out and get a loan. If your score is not high on one of these Equifax, Experian, or TransUnion, you may be paying more for your auto lease or your auto loan or your mortgage or your second mortgage. You got to keep in mind, sometimes your actual scores can affect your insurance rates. I know it sounds crazy, but they're going to look at your insurability, and not only your insurability, but maybe your financial stability. So keep in mind, it's really good to keep a good credit history. Now, on my first loan, if I was back in my 20s and I knew what I knew then, what I know now, oh my goodness, I'd have had a great score from the get-go. But I was a foolish person, and my first 10 years, I think I went through money like water out of a tap. I want to know now, not only keep my score, but I want to know what are lenders looking for. So when I'm looking at my first really line of credit, I want to stay on top of it. Now, building a good credit history means developing good credit habits. I don't know about you, I need routines in my life. I need boundaries. I need some kind of track to run on. Most people do. We're just not that disciplined. So we sit down and get in an agreement with our spouse on the financials of our home so that we can both be good stewards and get on the same page. Now, when I do that, I want to get a credit card and use it responsibly, which I've been talking about not only in this segment, but the segment before. I want to make purchases every billing period and pay them off full and on time. By the way, I love how some of these companies, they used to ding your account if you were late. Now they give you forgiveness for a month. Listen, I got auto forgiveness now. Now I got credit card forgiveness. Unbelievable. You're just looking at all these different ways that you can use credit to your advantage. And also, applying gradually for additional credit, you can keep up to date on what your credit reporting agencies are doing. So if I'm applying like I was expanding our business, I went over to my card and said, you know, I'm going to be up against my balance. I'll need more actual credit. Can you bump my cap? They took my ceiling, or the most I could do off this, because I knew I was going to pay it off in 30 days. I just needed to get it now. I went ahead and purchased it. 30 days later, I had a huge bill, and I paid it off. So I have to manage my balances correctly. They always should be zero at the end of the month. I think that's why people have good scores between the high 700s and low 800s in their FICO score. So you want to be able to look at these three main bureaus. They're going to always check all your kind of credit that you're going to use. Now, remember, a lot of us come in and some of us came out of college. If you're a millennial and you're coming out of college today, I'm saying I have nothing but compassion for you because you're really up against it. In our day, it was difficult to pay off our student loans as it was, but we were able to do it. We worked. We tried to not take any more debt than we had to. and we got on it. Today, we have over I think it's $1.3 trillion in student debt, and it's now surpassed every other debt except for a mortgage. So think about it. It's bigger than credit cards, bigger than auto loans. So student loan debt is a major issue. If a millennial is graduating, and no matter how high degree, their master program or whatever, they could have a great job, but their student debt is going to influence the way you can buy a home. Think about it. You could actually be past the ratio for a mortgagor when he's looking at your finances and say, you just have too much student loan debt, I can't give you a mortgage, or you'll need a lot more down. Those are the times that you feel this kind of both candles burning at both ends. I got this great degree, I spent all this money, but now I can't get a mortgage because I still have $50,000, $60,000 online that I have to pay back. And yes, it'll help you pay back depending upon how many years it is. And think about this. The standard payback time, fixed period, is right around 10 years. So you have to look at it. Look at a FARSA loan, maybe. You got it from the federal government. Look at your 10 years. Is that number a big number? Now, I'm thinking of one of my children. They have a loan. It's $81 a month. They're going to be done here pretty quickly. Think about it. Should I have done a shorter period? Maybe I should have. But right now, we didn't know what the cash flow was going to be like. We didn't know what kind of job we were going to have. We didn't know what kind of expenses. It was better to start out with the low $81 payment, and then if I want to add on and kill the actual loan, I can do it at my discretion. The second thing you may want to look at is standard fixed payments and fixed terms. Sometimes you have to extend with standard fixed payments and fixed terms. You say, I kind of got myself in a box here. I need a little longer. Well, you can long, and some of these can go from 10 years all the way out to 25 years. I mean, that's a long time. But I wouldn't want to be coming out of school and then going 25 years trying to buy a home, sending my kids through education, and on top of it, saving for my own retirement. Even if the millennials start their retirement year at age 70, it would still be hard. That center part of your career, you're still paying off something that you actually rang a bill up for your education all the way back 20 years ago. You want to make sure once you graduate, do I have the money? Am I have a job expectation so that I can pay this down? It's really important to look at it and think about this. A lot of people now are looking at junior college like they've never seen it before. Some high schools are actually graduating with a high school degree as a senior and their 2-year college associate degree. They already have 2 years of their college done. So you want to look at every aspect. Should I go to junior college? Does the high school offer a degree, an associate's degree, with their senior graduation? That's huge. That's leveraging your college education and really keeping your cost and your debt of college education as low as you possibly can. So you want to look at what's going on. You want to keep online and look at what you owe. You never want to let it get out of hand. You want to think about how you're going to pay it off. One of the good things about planning is if you just take a little bit and keep pecking away at it, not only the $81 in my example, but you might want to start putting $20, $30 away so you can shorten the time period. The best part is I don't want to pay any more interest than I have to. And remember, these government loans are pretty low, so it's not like they're really expensive, but they're still eating cash flow. And I want to be able to reduce my debt. And part of the biggest debt for most people under 40 right now is their education debt. It's something that they take into their new life. It's tough to get married, buy a home, save enough for a deposit, have children, put money aside for their education, and retirement when I got student loan like this. So it's important to manage it. Before you step into your freshman year of college, ask yourself the question, are there ways to play here that I'm not aware of? And is junior college an option for me? I might be able to actually save myself 2 full years. And oh my gosh, some high schools may actually include a 2-year associate degree. These are the kind of things you need to look about before you go. And I'd start looking at my college education, especially if you're a parent, day one. I mean, that child's born. What are you going to do? What monies are you going to set aside? How are you going to do it? Will it be a small amount, a big amount? You have to start figuring, what vehicle should I use? Should I use a 529? Should I look at Coverdale? All these different plans are out there for you to look at and a lot of options. But the biggest thing is start early and do it every month, whatever that number is. And keep in mind that you should be looking at colleges somewhere around freshman, sophomore year in high school and look at the different options between private colleges and public colleges. Heads up, you'll be surprised as I was. Sometimes the private colleges are more benevolent, even though they look more expensive than the state, but by the time their benevolency comes online and they give different grants and scholarships, their actual tuition costs may be lower than the public school. Every state's different, you need to check it up. But remember, the issue here is building a good credit history and paying down your debt every month is one of the arts of being financially disciplined. Don't forget to watch our next segment on investing with eyes wide open, part 4 in our series on It's Your Money, It's Your Life. And keep in mind, before moving forward with any of the ideas on our show, always check with your tax consultant, legal counsel, or financial advisor. You've been watching Steve Savant's Money, the name of the game.